Hey y'all, it's Alexis from Ask Alexis here, and we have an amazing guest today. This is Dawn Patterson, and she is an author, a serial entrepreneur, and a friend. Y'all know I be getting my friends on this show. Why? Because that's what you do. You go, you move up, you bring your people with you. That's how we thrive and be
I like
liberated.
that.
um, but this is Dawn Patterson, and she got this book she wrote. What's it called? The V.
The V. Yes, yes. So actually I have it here.
Awesome.
I'm
Show it to us, because y'all know we talk about the JJs on this show.
yeah. Yes, it is. It's a very interesting book. It's a very interesting book. It has a poetic story to it as well. You'll definitely
Tell
enjoy
us
it.
about it. You were telling me about it before we got on. It
I
sounds
know.
really interesting. It's going on my list. So tell us about it without the spoilers.
Okay. So the V is about a protagonist who is a seeker. So it speaks to the seekers of today. It speaks to people who are in search of love. This protagonist, she doesn't have self-discipline, and she's seeking love, but through intimacy, through sex. So she's having multiple partners because she's going into the relationship or situationship with the mentality of this is I'm trying to find love to fill this void, but in reality, it's not being reciprocated. So she goes to the next to find it because she's not getting it from just one person. Um, it also talks about her childhood adversities, which is the reason why she doesn't have the self discipline that
So
she
I
should.
like this. I like that you tied those things in, because frankly, you could be telling any one of my clients or my own or the viewer stories with that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
And but this is the part she ain't tell y'all that she told me, and I'm gonna just say it's erotica. So
it is.
interesting just for that. And the thing that when she told me that, my jaw dropped to the floor, because that is not the Dawn I know. So Dawn, how did you get to the place where the Dawn I know could write a book on that's erotica?
Yeah.
Because
So like
Dawn did not was not out here thotting it up. Okay, she was not out here looking for love with in between nobody's legs.
this is true. This is true. Um, I've always been a very passionate person, and I'm a very sensual person, even though I don't, it's not outwardly. Like I don't it it's very I should say that I look to I share it with a special someone. So that part of
So
me,
you a
if you're
lady in the
pouring,
streets and a freak in the sheets?
yes, if you're pouring into me, then you can get that version of me. But it does exist, and you are not alone. No.
Guess what that means? It wasn't none of my business until it was my business. And that's okay, knowing why? Because Auntie Tab said that's your business.
I hear that. Okay.
I'm just glad you get having fun and having orgasms. I want the world to have more orgasms. So,
Yeah.
that's all I care about is your happiness. Um,
Thank
and
you.
safety, I want you, if you thought it up, I don't have a problem with that. I like to thought it up safely. Um, but tell us a little bit more about the story of this seeker. How much of you is in the story?
That's a very interesting question because I grapple with that. When I was writing this book, I wrote from a very emotional place. So I couldn't even write. I couldn't just at that time sit down and just write. And I didn't have the self discipline to do that. So it was only when I needed an outlet. So it was a creative outlet for me. I needed this outlet when I was sad about multiple things. It had sometimes nothing to do with a relationship, or it was just something. It had to be like a very not traumatic event, but something that hit hard and made me cry. And that's when I would write when I was sad. And that's when the creative flow. I got that creative flow, and it all just started coming out. So when you say how much of this is me, I think of that. And in that um, retrospect, I would say a lot, but when it comes to the actual story, not much, because I do live a self-disciplined life, as you know, but this is still, it's nothing that I don't know. I just, it's a part of me.
So since I haven't read the book, but I
Yeah.
know like how many of your friends, like is this a combination of our friends into one character?
So
Is that
I had to kind of some take some stuff out of you guys' lives to
well,
make it more
maybe
interesting. However, I never said names. I put it into one person, so it's her story. But yes, I did take some stories and embellish a little bit. So yeah, to make it a lot more interesting.
I know
So
you're
thank
right.
you.
I feel like we gave you enough content.
Yes.
And we'll give you more for book two. You know, like at least I know I will. I am out here for all the fun as soon as we get free.
Oh, thank you.
I want to have fun. I want to give you all the stories. Okay. I
I'm
want
here for it.
I want the world to remember stories about Alexis. And I don't mean that in a goic way. I mean that in a like, I like what I'm doing in the world. I want more people to know about
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
And I want them to want to do the same thing. So maybe that is ego. I don't care. It's just that's my angle.
Yeah.
But
No,
go ahead.
no, it's fine. And I definitely want to touch upon the fact that it does talk about spirituality.
Yes.
So it's her conversations, the protagonist's conversations with God. And that is something that that is me. That these are not verbatim, but the similar conversations that I would have.
Tell us a little bit about the conversations. And once again, y'all gonna have to get the book. Okay. So
Yes.
it's not to tell you the story, it's so you get be interested and buy the book, support my friend.
So and thank you for that. The conversations that the protagonist would have with God, because at that point she had to face her childhood adversity. She needed guidance. So that was the breaking point. The breaking point is when she needed guidance and had to face the the I wouldn't even say evil inside of her, but just the, what would you call it?
So when I'm working with my clients, it depends on what it is. But to me, it's just an area where you haven't, like, it's an
Like a
underdeveloped skill set
whole, yeah,
or a
yeah,
longing. So what I heard you just, if your protagonist was my client, when you were talking about this looking for love through intimacy,
yeah,
has this longing to be loved. And typically, when you
yes,
link childhood adversity to a longing to be loved, there was some neglect or some hypercritical household, perhaps abuse, but that child never learned to be valued. And then society teaches us that you're not valued until you're loved by someone. And so
yeah,
I would be thinking that she's looking to satisfy her longing to be loved instead of looking to be loved. And the
yeah,
satisfaction of the longing is different than actually being loved. But if you weren't loved as a child, you don't know what that looks like. So you just trying to get this feeling solved. But then people like that also have attachment, or they may have attachment issues. Real hard to diagnose a conglomerate person. And then I don't diagnose people. That is not my job. I'm a coach. But they may have some attachment issues in that when that person is present, the longing is satisfied, but when they're away, because they're not actively having that longing satisfied, they still feel the longing to be loved because they haven't picked no learned how to pick a partner that loves them.
yeah,
They're looking, but they pick partners that don't love them because really you attract the longing rather than the being loved. It's a different experience.
that's very interesting. I should have had this conversation with you before I actually wrote the book. So that would have been a very great thing to
Character
include
development
a
is something
full circle.
I actively consult on now,
Hmm. Yeah.
because those things change people's behaviors and their reactions. And
Yeah.
like, so when I hear your protagonist looking for love through the feeling of sex, But then that teaches you that you're only valued for your sex.
Yes.
And so then also, but then that you learn, but people internalize that differently. And so some people might lead with more promiscuity, or some people might be like, if this is the only thing I have to value, I'm gonna hold it tight. And then they don't have any sexual fun, or they, or like, but really it's a range. It's, if you're basing your self definition on trying to satisfy something you never knew or had, you're not defining yourself on who you want to be. You're defining yourself by what you think you should be,
Yeah.
or where you feel like you've been lacking, or what has been hurting in your life. But you can't get that time back. You can learn skill sets for things you haven't learned, and you get you a coach like me, or a therapist, or both of them, a spiritual advisor, and you learn those things. But then too, on this comfy couch, we practice ancestral veneration, because we understand that we are who we are, standing on the shoulders of those who came before us, and some of that shit ain't ours.
Mm.
um and so, and when you think about it, it makes sense in psychological terms of the cultural stories that your family has to go, like, so you talk about adverse childhood experiences, but what about adverse community experiences?
Interesting. I've
And
never
then
heard that term before.
the adverse community, so you're a black woman, you have had adverse
Yeah.
community experiences, but then the adverse community experiences impact the individuals who are giving you your adverse childhood experience.
Yes, of course.
And so, but that shapes the way you see the world, and then you grow up and you mirror or attract back more of, whatever it was that you saw. It's really hard to talk about this as super broad general terms, but some of that means that you're elders. So like, but your parents taught them. So
Yeah.
the lessons that they gave them are the lessons that your parents give you, or the counter correction. Because some people
Yeah.
are like,
And
my
I think
parents,
that's what my mom, that was her case, the opposite. Yeah.
so I won't be that. So I'm gonna be too much of this.
Yeah.
And then once again, that's that not being who you want to be. It's just being not being who you don't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, but also, I practice ancestor veneration, and my ancestors are living. And that means that the things that affected them in their lives still live and affect me in my life. And so then you do practices to elevate your ancestors. For me, I found I had to release the trauma, and I wasn't able to release the trauma until I elevated them. This is not the first time y'all heard this story, but and through that process, then what happens is, what I discovered through my lived experience is that the emotional responses that came along with some of my behaviors are not as intense now that I had that release. But trauma gets stored in our bodies. Like,
Yeah.
emotions get stored in people with PTSD have trauma in their bodies.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
eye movement, EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy, is a body therapy for people who have physical PTSD, like symptoms from that. That's, you have to flush that out of your body. And so if our ancestors have been traumatized, which they have as black women,
Yeah.
then that trauma still lives in us, but also the resilience that they had to survive and thrive in the ways that they did, that lives in us too. So I
Yes.
don't want to just, I'm not
Yes.
telling just a busted and disgusted story,
Yes.
right? It, to me, it's our responsibility to be liberated, because they were not, but they were
Yes.
increasingly more and more liberated. So tell us about your experience with spirituality, because that part is you. And I went way off too long, and you're the guest, not me.
No, it's absolutely fine. I am learning. I'm a lifelong learner. This is good. This is good. So to answer your question, my spiritual journey. So, um, we kind of talked about it, but just for the viewer's sake, when my first in experience was, I was about 9 months pregnant, and I that day I realized that I was going to be a statistic. And I said, wow, I am going to be a single mom, because that wasn't the story.
Oh no, we lost you.
Do you see me now?
Yes.
I don't know how I put it on airplane mode or do not disturb, and I don't know what's going on. Um,
But when you were pregnant, you learned that you said you would be a statistic, which meant single mom through
Single
spiritual
mom.
through
Yes.
spiritual means.
Um, it was a very hurtful and very dark time for me because I didn't plan that. Obviously, it wasn't planned, and what was planned did not happen. So after I found out I was pregnant, then there was a plan for this, and when I realized that that plan wasn't going to happen, I had to. I came to that realization, and it was a very rough journey for me. But to get to your question, I end up having a very like a meltdown, and through that meltdown, I started speaking in tongue, and it wasn't clear what I was saying. It was just a language that I've never heard before. And I remember subconsciously saying to myself, like, what am like, I don't understand. What are you trying to say? What am I saying? I don't understand. And within that same thought, like breath, it became clear exactly what I was saying. And it was in English. And I could, and then it just kept repeating. I kept repeating it. And it, to this day, it held true to like everything that was said. So,
So, if the viewers are feeling like I am, they want me to pry into what was said and what's true. But as a
okay.
person who has had their own spiritual experiences, you I'm not gonna ask you specific questions. I'm gonna let you tell the parts you're comfortable with because that's not y'all business. Y'all quit being nosy. See how I blamed it on
So I can say a couple of things that was said. One was, it's about the journey. And the other, because I felt like my world was coming to an end, was that I was going to be okay. So like everything is going to work out the way it's supposed to. You are going to be okay. Like this is what was supposed to happen. And there was some other things that was said about my son, but I don't want to say that because I'm still kind of like, it's all love and all positive, but it was at that time it was just a very um it was an experience. It was an
it.
experience.
As a person who came into spirituality through an experience, I understand completely what you mean
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it being an experience and then also not wanting to say those things about your son and how this had to happen because
yeah,
you don't want to put no pressure.
yeah, yeah.
But I can confirm for y'all that it was a dark time for her. Not going too much into the details, but
Um,
it was a jarring experience to watch, let
mm,
alone I can't imagine that experience happening. But it was, I can't say too much because that's still your son's father.
yeah.
But y'all could imagine what would make a time like that dark when you are gestating.
Yeah.
Um, but so let's talk about the how much your life has evolved since then because you
Mm,
are an author and a serial entrepreneur. And I know
yes.
you have your I Am My City movement. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that.
So I Am My City. It started off as a clothing brand in 2010, I want to say. I want to say 10, the idea came, but I really didn't execute and get website, everything up and running until like 20,000 or 2016. My years are all off, by the way. So 2016 2016 is when I started I Am My City. So it hasn't been that long, but it's been long enough, and that in itself is a journey. So sorry about that. 2016. So it started off as a clothing brand. I sell like athletic wear, apparel, hoodies, doggy wear, kids, men, women, like everything. And then it started to kind of evolve into something more. Now that it's becoming its own like hub for local products, which I have like the body butters and candles and all these other interesting things that are coming to the site, blankets, everything else, like just different things. It's really cool, and it supports your city. I Am My City came to me in a dream, the name, and I kept saying how powerful the words are, I am. And we, at that time, 2016, we were kind of going through a dark era, dark time, the city in itself was. And with the blight and people, Detroiters not claiming the D, and just all of those abandoned houses, people losing their jobs, it was just very, we were kind of coming out of that, but it was still, we were still in it. So we were on the tail end of it. Um, and I wanted to, I should say, there was a need for something creative, something uh, that was positive. And that's when I Am My City was born, to bring light to the darkness that was all around me, and that I personally have experienced. And 2016, I think, was a good year for me mentally, to be able to just kind of like appreciate, not necessarily, well, appreciate the journey for what it was, and appreciate it so much because it helped me become the person that I am, and I was at that time. So yeah, I Am My City it's a great spirit wear company, that is a it's all about the community, and I use that as a creative outlet for my I Am My City commercials and videos that I love doing. So yeah, it's about community, it's about togetherness, and it's just a positive message.
I love it. And when I
Oh,
hear
thank
I am
you.
my city, and like I use I am because it is a very powerful affirmation.
Mhm.
Um, but when I hear that, I think of my share, future, or bust, right? Like I am my community. I am my
Absolutely.
community. Like they reflect back to me, I reflect out to them. We have a mutual responsibility to each other. So for
Yeah.
me, when I hear I am my city, it's a call to action. It is a call to take ownership in your city. It is a call to be a part of, like, to know that you are where you live. You are where you live is a part of you. I don't want to say it's the only thing, because I'm not like trying to
But we are our environments, but
yeah,
yeah, it is a part.
our
Yeah,
environment is a part of who we are. And
absolutely.
so for me, I'm a spiritual being having a black human experience, and I
Mhm.
recognize that we have our sovereignty, but we have the world reflected to us and back. It's this cycle of like out and back, like back
Okay.
at us and out from us, but it's from
Okay.
our in. Why am I losing my words? Probably because I ain't supposed to say them.
It's fine. I think
Reflect
I
our
get
reality.
the gist of it. Yeah.
However, if you're not conscious to the fact that you reflect your reality, you're manifesting from your environment. And
Mm.
if you're manifesting from your environment, and your environment is one of blight and loss and scarcity, you're going to manifest into the world more blight and loss and scarcity. So to me,
Mm.
that puts the onus and responsibility on those who are conscious to be actively participating in things that are positive and improving the environment of humanity. Because
Absolutely.
I have to live in the world with the unconscious, and it doesn't matter that I'm in the world but not of the world. I still got to live in it. And
Yeah,
if people are manifesting from what they like unconsciously, that I need to improve, in order for me to feel improvement, they got to have something better to look at.
absolutely.
um
Absolutely. And it is a human conscious business. Like that's what I pride on. So that's very, yeah, right on.
No, I love it. And so, what y'all? Where can people? What's the website that people can come to?
So IamMyCity.com.
Say that.
IamMyCity.com is where you can also get the V. So I sell the book on that website as well. So yeah, IamMyCity.com, and on Instagram, IamMyCityBrand. So
Okay, and we're gonna put those links in the description. But y'all heard it, just in case you're not ready to look, go down into the description. It is IamMyCity.com. So, be a part of the movement. Support these positive endeavors, because an advancement for one is an advancement for all, and that's how we're gonna
yeah,
really walk into the shared future. And y'all hear me say share future or bust, but what that mean is choose how you gonna live. Choose what you gonna stand for. Because we can't
mm-hmm.
control when I don't want you to die for a cause. I want you to live in that cause all with all the days of your life. Right? Like
Yeah,
live it. Don't die for it. Be committed enough to live it. I feel like dying for something is inefficient. Unless that just happens to be a part of how you have to live it. But you don't control
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so let's talk about your serial entrepreneur journey. Why do you call yourself a serial entrepreneur?
I realized that in my spiritual journey, trying to find out what is my purpose, and my purpose, and this is what's becoming clear, and obviously I'm not I can't honestly say this with confidence, but I know I'm meant to help people. I think we all are in some way, shape, or form. At what capacity, I cannot have that conversation with you right now. But I say that, and to say that these it's through creativity, because I'm a visionary. Like I never in the past, I would never act on the visions that I would have. I Am My City was one of the first, and that was a big step for me. So all of these visions come, and it usually has something to do with business, and uh, I'm going to obviously execute them. So I have two projects that I'm working on. They're both amazing and major projects, actually three, but one I can speak upon. It's the I Am My City Parks. So I Am My City Parks, these are art parks in the city of Detroit that I'll be doing. It's a nonprofit organization. But I'm very excited for that, to get that going. But the other two are on just a really major scale. And I'm super excited about that. I'm super proud of myself, because this is
Wait.
something,
I'm sorry. Don't let my distraction. Tell me about these
yeah,
parks. They're art parks.
they're art parts. So the vision that I have, I'm not going to go too in depth with it, but they're art parks, and it's supposed to be a park for kids to come to explore, to it would be like different activations of the park for kids, to from kite flying to painting to sculptures to, I mean, just all types of creative experiences. And on this park, uh, like I said, it'll be different activations, and it's really just to kind of help clean up the community and boost revenue in the community as far as the housing in the area. Because when you do have these public spaces and you're cleaning this blight up, it does help property value. And these kids, they walk through the streets with, tires and just all types of debris. It's just so unfortunate. And I just wanted to do my part. So the art parks, I Am My City Art Park, was something that I hold dear, and I want to see come to fruition. So I'm working on
I
that.
want to see it come to fruition too. But you talked about something that I think is really integral to entrepreneurship, but also to having a spiritual journey. And for this, I'm gonna speak from myself because I'm not gonna speak from your life. But having a spiritual journey and coming from like having had adverse childhood experiences, um, act on the visions that you have,
Absolutely.
because
Abs-
I had a bunch of them I did not have. I mean, I did not act on. And then I have a bunch that I have acted on. and you're sitting on, we're interviewing on one that I did act on, but I got
Yeah.
the vision for years, like, so I think this year is the first year I actually have a YouTube channel.
Nice.
I got the vision for it like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought I had to have a co-host. I didn't think I could do anything by myself, so I didn't act on it.
Mm.
Um, and then I started doing stuff by myself, and guess what? It was way easier than when I was trying to do it with other people. And then now that
Yeah.
myself, other people want to do it with me. But I would take it personally that people didn't want to do stuff with me when really they just didn't see me doing it.
But not two things that you said. Not everyone, one is to comment on that, but not everyone knows your vision but you. So you can paint this picture and articulate it in the best way you can do, but no one knows what's in your head. So a good thing that you did, and a lot of entrepreneurs, successful people do, is they act. They start before they're ready. And even though you didn't start 2 years ago, you still started. You still took that chance on yourself. And I think that that is so important. And it's a power move. It's extremely admirable. And I definitely support you, Alexis, and I'm so happy for you.
I
I am.
that's cheer bear right here.
Yeah.
Cheer bear hip roller. He ain't hip roll for the people in a minute. And we've been cheering. Y'all make sure y'all buy that book, okay? Cheer bear, cheer book. See that?
Yes, I put a lot of heart and soul. This book is it's a phenomenal book, and not because I wrote it. It's a really good read, and it's an easy read.
I'll
So,
read it and I'll tell y'all it's a good book. I probably spoil some stuff for you, but it's erotica. It'll still be interesting when you read it.
yeah,
Because everybody like a little sex.
yeah,
Not everybody.
it's
There
good.
are gay sex,
It's good.
but most people do. I appreciate that feedback, and you said you're right. I thought I had to be perfect to be successful,
Yeah.
and
Mm-mm.
that is far from true. Like,
Far.
nobody likes perfect people. When you see successful people, they are far from perfect, and they
Absolutely.
have teams. One of the
Yes.
best things I did for myself was hire a virtual assistant
Mm.
because I'm terrible with administrative tasks, and that was killing my business. And so hiring somebody to do the things that I can't do or won't do gave me the freedom to do the things that I like to do, which is
Absolutely.
I love making content, talking to people about what's going on in their minds and life.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
who I am. I love that. And getting the help and support it makes all the difference. But I don't think that I would have allowed myself energetically to have the help and support if I wasn't doing something too.
Yeah.
And I think that I was the blockage. Now that I'm processing this on the show, I was the
Yes.
blockage to people doing things with me because of my subconscious rules that you can't ask for help unless you participating.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna
And
release that
yeah.
because I got big dreams and I don't have to participate in all the visions. I just have to implement them.
Hmm.
Um, so Dawn, I'm gonna ask you a question before you get to ask me a question because we are getting close to that time on the show where you ask Alexis. But what would you feel like, and take a time to reflect on it, if everything went right every step of the way for these endeavors you're talking about?
If everything went right.
So you know how you built a few things, you wrote a book, you
Yes.
have a movement, you have a website. So you understand that whatever your vision was for it in the beginning, you did that and then it evolved beyond that. So you know
Yes.
but that means that things happen in step and sometimes it's disappointments and stuff along the way.
Yes.
But what
It's still a journey.
right. So what if for the rest of your journey, when you did something, it was successful with a lot of ease. And you did a lot of hard things the easy way. So what would you feel like if everything went right?
Okay. I don't think that I think challenge is good. Um, I don't think that I would, if everything went right, I don't think that I would be the person that I am today, to
Well,
be honest with
but
you.
I'm saying from today on. I'm not saying from
Oh, from
like
today on, if
usually
everything
you
went
have
right,
a little bit adversity.
without me putting in work, you're just talking about, I just
The work,
a
so
vision.
what I'm saying is the work that you put in is fruitful every step of the way.
That would be amazing. Let's put that in the universe.
That's
But you mean, how would I feel about it?
these obstacles. So if everything went right, every step, like so you got the I am my city parks, all the ordinances and all the donors and all,
That would be
like, yeah,
amazing.
I want to do that.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Let me tell you why. Because I still feel like I have the mentality like I'm always going to be learning and growing and evolving. And I'm going to take what I need to take out of that experience. So if everything was to go right, I'll be good with that at this point. Yes, I
Yeah,
would be
so
good with that.
I tell you, like I tell a whole lot of my clients, make sure you planning for success instead of disappointment. Plan for
Absolutely.
excitement.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes, and I'm not saying you do this, but sometimes people won't get excited until a thing has actually happened because they don't want to go through the disappointment.
Oh, I see.
And so my
Yeah,
year was trying to show people like get excited about stuff.
absolutely.
If
Feel it.
you know it, you get excited because here's the thing: what I know about having a vision, whether it fails or not, I'm gonna still keep doing it tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Like if it's successful, I'm gonna still keep doing it, and if it's not successful, I'm gonna still keep doing it. It might take me 2 days to start back if it's not successful, but I keep coming back to share future or bust. No matter how much I want to leave this calling on my life, no matter how much I be feeling like I resent it, I don't want to do nothing else.
Yeah. You only fail when you quit. Or I mean, that's just it for me.
It's
Um,
like that.
my nowhere in my text will it ever read that I gave up.
Yeah.
So
One of the
yeah,
it's a saying that say the only people who fail are people who quit when they down.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna get hard. It's gonna be difficult. I mean, I just the stories can go on with experiences that people have who are of success, but um, we all experience these hardships and ups and downs in life. I mean, life is life, and you're gonna have that. You just have to continue to keep going, keep moving forward. So yeah.
And you can do. Here's the thing about the trauma that you have. If you have trauma and you live with it, and it's you don't have to stay that way.
No.
It might take. So I did a whole lot of intense trauma work for about 2.5 years solid. And I'm not saying that I've done. I still see my therapist every 2 weeks. But my therapist and my spiritual advisor and my own spiritual practices and my own meditation and reflection took me about 2 years to become this version of me that like to become the version of me that was in alignment with the vision that I had in my spiritual awakening. But that two
Mhm.
years was worth it because
Yeah.
I could have spent them 2 years in the same misery I was in before. And then I would have all the years after it still in the same misery. So spending 2 years on doing deep inner thought work, I know 2 years might sound like a lot of time to devote to something called like therapy or spiritual improvement, but the benefits to your life and the years
Mm.
that follow
Yes.
are
Yeah.
so like it's foolish. Yeah, you gotta you going through hardships, so what? You've been through all of the hardships you that got you here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you could spend the 2 years getting to some easy ships
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they exist. They exist and you can learn.
I, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say they exist and you can learn how to have it exist more in your life if you hire me. I do have a couple one-on-one slots open. Teach you how to manifest and release and become in alignment with the version of or with the vision you have for your life. Uh,
Yeah.
throw in that plug. What were you gonna say, no?
No, no, I just, yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I feel like 2 years is not a long time because if you don't take out time to work on yourself, it is work. But it's not going to seem like work once you start benefiting from it. And years are going to go by regardless if you do something or you do nothing. So 2 years of diving in deep and unveiling the mask and facing your truth, right? I honestly feel like that it's not a long time compared to living your the rest of your life a way that's not beneficial for you.
I would have
I mean,
suicide. I would have committed suicide. I wouldn't have been suicidal. I would have committed suicide if I stayed the way that I was. Because if that misery was allowed to continue and compound on itself,
mm,
it there would have, for me, been no value to life.
Wow.
Um, but fortunately, I had my
Yeah.
spiritual awakening and got hooked on that blissful feeling, and
Yeah.
and was like, oh, this is my life now, and was committed enough. It was, for me, that blissful feeling was the only time I'd ever felt it, like in an embodied
Mm.
way. And so it was like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is, oh,
Yeah.
you know, me and spirit is the homies.
Yeah.
I don't care what's the spirit mission before self. And it honestly, doing the work and living my as my authentic self. And I thought
Yeah.
I was keeping it real before. I always kept it real, but I didn't know who my authentic self was to be able to be her.
It, and when you say keep it real, you're still talking on um a super, not superficial level, but it's still the what society views of you, like their view of you, of that's keeping it real, yes, right, down to earth, whatever, but that's still not uniquely you, like that's still not who you are. So I don't, yeah, there's a difference, there's a big difference.
Well, all righty, Miss Dawn. It is the time.
I'm excited about this.
I'm
I
not
have notes.
nervous. She had her question prepared
Why?
ahead of time, y'all. So this is the time of the show where Dawn get, and see how she pulled out her notebook, where she gets
Yes.
to ask Alexis a question that I'm not prepared for. So let me go ahead. Which bear do I need? Grumpy bear? Because
No, you don't.
okay, I'm
You
gonna,
don't need that.
okay, I'm gonna bring up
This is all love. This is
blush,
all love.
and maybe that's tender heart.
Aw. Yeah, you're gonna need some of that. Um, so my ask. So I was watching one of your recordings and I remember you said the word. You weren't talking about anything that had anything to do with obviously the book. But you said the word seeker. And it popped in my head and stayed in my head. So my question is, do you think that you are still searching for something, like still in a state of seeking?
No.
And if you are, you're not.
Mm-mm.
So you are living in the moments.
Yes and no. So for me, I that satisfaction of longing, that longing thing, that's a lived experience for me.
Okay.
I have one memory without it, except for after I had that release that I was talking about, I mentioned earlier. That was my driving force. Like, that was the thing that made me want to have a family so tough. That was the thing that shaped a lot of my views in my 20s. And I didn't even want to buy a house because I was going to move into my husband's house. And so I wasn't even excited to buy this house. And then when I bought it, like, it's only this year that I started like feeling the spirit of my house and actually
Yeah.
being able to reflect and feel how grateful I feel for the stability that it provided me, because I did not grow up
Yes.
with housing security. And so I was always seeking for something outside of myself to tell me who I am, or to tell me
Yes.
I'm valuable, or to tell me that I'm. And then once I had my spiritual awakening, I was seeking to have right righted all of the things I felt were wrong, since now I know I reflect my reality and I can become, you can manifest your desires. So you're not limited by previous beliefs. You manifest that what you want, or that what you desire. And so then it was like, yeah, I can have anything. And then, like, but the thing is, you start manifesting from where you are.
Yeah.
So whatever you got going on, you manifest, you learn, you manifest, you learn. So I had a relationship that I manifested, and I thought I got all the ingredients right. And then that
Mm.
relationship still abandoned me. Um, and it was through the process and the healing of that relationship that I recognized that this whole time, what I thought being loved was having that longing satisfied. And then through doing a lot of spiritual and psychological reflection and work, I want to learn what it's like to be loved. but that doesn't mean
Mm.
I'm seeking to be loved.
Yes.
Desire to have that experience because I know that people love me, and I know that, but it is a new awareness in my own consciousness, and that does, and it doesn't have to just be like romantic love. I'm literally this year looking at the ways that I am loved so I
Mm-hmm.
can bring it into my consciousness. So because of that, and having and releasing that longing feeling, I just, it doesn't feel like that longing was my secret. I don't
Mm.
have, I feel secure and sound in my spiritual beliefs. I feel active in my spiritual practices. I feel active in my purpose for my life. I enjoy the work that I do. I have to worry about working too much and not enjoying the life outside of work. I
Okay.
feel fulfilled um by being able to be myself and the life that I live, with the exception of this pandemic shit. Because now that I'm all super happy, I want to be out and thought,
Yeah, we all do. I know.
but it's because, and then I love who I am, but that's because I did that work. And I don't mean it in like a, oh, I'm the shit. The type of people that I love, the type of character that I value, the things I
Yeah.
live my
Yeah.
values. I
Yes.
live them when they're difficult, and I live them according to my standards. And then when I don't, I'm able to course correct, but I can see it. And so,
Yeah.
and then I'm a person who can have their ego challenged. So I feel comfortable with the responsibilities that are coming before me because I don't feel like it's my way or no way. I feel like I got this vision, but we're going to build it. And
Mm.
we're building not what I see, we're building the feeling I get by what I see. That'll let me know when we at the destination. And so like I am happy and joyful in an embodied way that I don't need to seek outside of myself, even though I enjoy
Mm.
experiences outside of myself. But it's not from the need, lack space. It is from the, these are things available in life, and I want to have, and I enjoy the things available in life.
Yeah. Yeah. So you consider yourself as a whole person,
Yes. So it's not,
having your experience.
so I so like, so yes, but like, you know how we have, so it's mind, for me, it's mind, body, soul, spirit.
Mm.
And all of those things are a part of my experience. So my mind is something that I now enjoy the landscape of, but I had to do the work to be able to enjoy the landscape of. My spirit and my spiritual team are people, and or I enjoy the practice of my spirituality.
Yeah.
My soul, I feel in alignment with my soul's purpose for my life. And then and then my body, I've started to work out 3 days a week, but that's because I feel a responsibility for this body that that allows me to have the lived experience of my soul's purpose on my life.
Yes. Yes.
So i I revere my body because it's a tool of my spirit. And before, it was like I don't need to be attached to my body because I'm a spirit having a human experience. But like, this is a part of my spiritual experience, this body.
Absolutely. Because you won't be able, absolutely.
And so being separate from it makes me feel like I'm not doing a reverential service to my spiritual existence.
Mm.
And reverence was something I had to learn, but I actively chose to learn how to have it and experience it. And so like I'm a whole, all of the things.
Mm. So it's not like you're a whole person, say, and I'm a visual person, so I'm visualizing a picture of a pie, and you're not a pie with slices of spirit, mind, body. You are a pie of spirit, a pie of body, a pie of mind, and you're having experiences. You're a whole person.
Yes, except the
Okay.
pies feel too siloed
Okay.
in the sense that, so yeah, it is, I don't know how to explain it inside your pie analogy, but but those things
Sorry.
all happening sequence like at the same time.
Yes. Yes. And
So
I get that.
I am
Yeah.
whole in all of those areas, so I don't have to seek.
So instead of slices, they're pies within a pie.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But
Nice.
so I don't feel like a seeker. And I also don't feel as nervous about that question. I like that, like you helped me see that. I don't think I would have noticed that. But when you asked me, it was an immediate, like, no, I'm not a seeker anymore.
That's amazing. Yeah.
A liver.
Yes.
And not like a liver like the organ. That
That's amazing.
um so I want to take this time to say thank you and to once again cheer her on. Buy her book, IamMyCity.com. Look out for I Am
Thank
My
you.
City first if you are in Detroit. And also get you some other stuff because I heard it was a bunch of stuff on that website. And don't be surprised if you see me in some I Am My City gear on this comfy couch.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I get to wear my PJs. So yeah, this is cool. I like it.
It was cool, and I love that you wore your PJs. And it is my hope that you don't take them off at least until tomorrow.
Right, right, right. I'll try.
All right, my love.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.